So let's get started. And first, I'd like to introduce Tito, who I believe is the primary speaker tonight, and Sonia is helping him. He is a full professor of physics at the University of Sao Paulo, and with a long career in NMR. And he's done postdoctoral work in the United States, and he's done visiting professorships in Europe, and he's a member of the Latin American Academy of Sciences. Actually, Tito is a very prominent scientist in Brazil, and he has served as the director of the São Carlos Institute of Physics, and later as the coordinator of their Innovation Center. So that is our main speaker tonight, I understand, Tito. And Sonia, who I've known many times over the years, going to Rio for Varian, has had a long career with Petrobras and doing NMR related to fuels and all the things that the major oil company of Brazil does. And so she will also be participating in this discussion. So with that,
good evening, everyone. Sonia and I would like to thank you so much, Dave, for inviting us for this presentation. We made a lot of efforts to give you the best picture for the South America community doing NMR. And thank you also for the kind introduction. So we are going to talk about NMR history in South America. We are going to try to show you how we were able to construct a big integration for our community in Brazil and in South America, starting in the 60s. But we have to mention that this is not a complete history, and more research is needed for getting better information about the history. And also, we apologize to anyone not mentioned at this initial stage. We are just starting constructing this history for South America. And of course, please send us more information for us to be able to give the next presentation for this history, including more and more people. But we believe we got a nice picture for this talk today. So NMR, EPR, NQR, and ENDOR, we had the first generation starting in the 60s and the 70s, not only in two places in South America, in Argentina, mostly in the University of Buenos Aires with Luis Diaz. I don't know if you know Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz was the advisor of Lucio Friedman, and Benjamin Friedman, that was his father. And also in the National University of Cordoba, where I'm going to mention names only for the first generation. For the other generations, I will not be able to talk all the names because we don't have time for mentioning all our colleagues. But in this first slide, I have to mention Sergio Pisanetsky, Juan Murgich, Carlos Martin, and Aldo Brunet, persons that were well known for the first generation, and also the physics in the Instituto Balseiro in Bariloche. We had Carlos Feinstein, Rafael Calvo, that we are meeting this, Saul Oseroff and Maria Cristina Terrilli. They were also visiting Brazil several times. But in Brazil, we had a lot of people doing NMR in this first generation. Adelina Costa Neto, Anita Marcioli, Antônio Jorge, Dorila Piló, Elizabeth Monteiro, Fred Fujiwara, João Comaceto, Masayoshi Yoshida, Peter Seidel, and Roberto Hittner. I believe, David, you have known many of these persons, and they were working in several institutions in Brazil, in the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, University of Campinas, Federal University of Minas Gerais, University of São Paulo, and Military Institute of Engineering. And also we had some physicists working in the Brazilian Center for Physics Research in the Federal University. Alberto Passos Guimarães doing zero-field NMR, and Ney Wugman doing EPR. But we had a very important moment in the 60s, at the end of the 60s and at the beginning of the 70s, with the migration of physicists from Argentina to Brazil, including Horácio Panepucci, Mário Engelsberg, Gaston Barberis, Carlos Rettori, and Maria Cristina Terrilli. You can see here that we have a lot of Argentinians coming from University of Buenos Aires. This is why I put some pointers here, because we have to increase the information about the physics group in Buenos Aires University, just to give the best picture of the space generation. But the people coming from Argentina to Brazil, they were able to make the first big integration for the South America community doing NMR and also EPR. And they were able to make all the connections necessary to improve the physics doing NMR, physicists doing NMR in South America. And later on, Sonia is going to show that she was able to connect the chemists and the physicists to do the best NMR possible in South America. So after that, we had the second generation doing EPR, NQR, and NMR. And the family have grown a lot, not only in Argentina, but also in Brazil. So I can go through the names, not saying them, but just going through the names with my cursor, and you can see a lot of very well-known persons. All good friends, and we are working together several times in Brazil and Argentina. And also in Brazil, I'm not saying all the names due to the same reason. Too many people to say the names. But you can see here a lot of persons. I believe you, David, for example, knew a lot of them when you came here to take part of our meetings. Of course, I just indicated Sonia and myself because we belong to the second generation. And I would like, Sonia and myself would like to show some 2 points interesting from the point of view of the chemist community and the physics community. The first one is dedicated to the Adelina Costa Neto, because she was the first researcher in South America to bring one commercial NMR system to start doing research in Brazil. And she started doing that in the late 60s to do research in organic chemistry. And I believe, Sonia, she was also your advisor for a PhD. Yes. And also, we would like to show the contribution of Professor Horacio Carlos Panepucci, because he was able, together with his team, NMR team, to construct one MRI system that was operated during 10 years in São Carlos, offering this facility to the persons in the region to do MRI images and use it for medical diagnosis. And due to this reason, we have now one hospital in São Carlos which has his name as homage for his contribution for the medicine in Brazil. Now I can ask you to Sonia to keep talking about.
Okay, thank you, David, for the nice introduction. After this good start by Tito, I would like to move to the year of 1987, when I have returned from London for my studies in NMR with Professor William McFarlane in 1979, and went back to Petrobras. I started there in 1975. And then in 79, I returned from London and started to push the company to acquire a new generation high-resolution NMR spectrometer, highlighting the benefits that it would bring to the company. This finally happened in 87. It was the first commercial NMR instrument with a superconducting magnet in Brazil, and it was installed in my lab. I faced a lot of difficulties at that time for the installation due to the lack of infrastructure in the country for several reasons, essential supplies, accessories, and especially liquid helium. So this was a cover of this journal, Industrial Chemical Journal, with me putting the sample in the variant XL300, and for that installation, we brought to Brazil Dr. Steve Patt, who was an application chemist at Variant Associates at that time, and who performed the first 2D spectrum in the country, which is shown here in the center. And the name of the article was Brazil Reaches state of the art in NMR. Okay, so next picture, you see that immediately after the installation of the equipment, we held the first NMR meeting in Angra dos Reis, the coastal city near Rio de Janeiro. And in this first meeting, we had 40 participants. I was a lot surprised about the 40 participants from the whole country. And Tito was included in that, in the first one. And at the end of the meeting, to celebrate, we had a very nice and beautiful boat trip around the Bay Area of Angra dos Reis. And in this photograph, you can see the two only invited speakers of the event, Dr. Steve Patt from Varian Associates and Professor Robin Harris from Durham University, UK. Next, please. Well, this event motivated us and encouraged us to found, in the following year, 1988, the Brazilian NMR Users Association, AUREM. The association had 12 founders, members, including Professor Adelina Costa Neto, who is highlighted here, and Tito mentioned before, she was the owner of the A60, the first in Latin America, the first NMR instrument in Latin America. And she was my professor, of the professor that from whom I learned NMR in my undergraduate school in chemistry. And also I highlighted my name because I became the first president of the association. Well, since the beginning, AUREM is the main purpose of AUREM has been the training of people in the field. We initially focused on offering basic courses, later advanced ones, aiming to educate and build a critical mass of people with NMR expertise in the country. Next, please. In addition to courses, we started to hold some events in the country. We are also in the 20th edition of this international NMR meeting, including in ISMA 2013. In Rio de Janeiro, we had 600 participants at that time. And this year, the version of 2026 version of the magnetic resonance in porous media, for the first time, I think, in South America. Tito is the chair of this conference and is holding it in Ribeirão Preto, São Paulo, in October this year. We have the international events in the odd numbered years, and in the even numbered years, we always run these Brazilian NMR meetings that are organized all entirely in Portuguese in order for the students to actively participate and present their work. This year we will have the 19th edition of that. This event runs all over the country. It goes where there are groups of NMR eager to have the event at their cities. So this year will be in August in Campo Grande, Mato Grosso do Sul, which is very close to Pantanal, and that's why the parrot in the symbol is shown. So AUREM has expanded to all the countries across South America. Many Argentinians come every year to our events, or people from Chile and from other countries in South America. And I think, as far as I know, we remain as the only NMR association in Latin America. And we had also extended our activities to Portugal and Spain. And we have run 10 versions of the Ibero-American NMR meeting since 2005 together with people from NMR from Portugal and Spain. Well, besides the courses, in the last 7 years, we have held those NMR school, Brazilian NMR schools. That also goes all over the country. This year we had a version in João Pessoa in February 2026. João Pessoa is in the northeast of Brazil. We have a lot of courses in a row and in parallel, so that the student can stay 2 weeks doing at least 6 courses in a row or in 2 weeks, which is very convenient because it's vacation time here, and we run those schools during vacation time for universities, I mean. And we are having about 150 students in each version of those schools. Okay, next one, please. So the association is considered the second integration effort to divulge and educate people on NMR in Brazil and South America. Next, please. This slide is very important to us and very significant, because it shows that in 1988 we found a rain, and after that we show a growth, exponential growth in the number until 2021 in the number of NMR publications, Brazilian NMR publications. So this is very significant to us. Next. Okay, now I will show to you that and highlight that Brazil conducts research in all major areas of NMR, covering both fields and application. I will present a few examples. Please, next. So we are in biomolecular NMR, solid state, instrumentation, small molecules, porous media, quantum information, computer and NMR, TD, NMR, MRI. The applications are very strong in natural products, organic and inorganic chemistry, medicinal chemistry, drug interaction, protein and peptides, carbohydrates, materials, polymers, catalysts, rubbers, materials several, oil and gas, CO2 storage, petrochemicals, biofuels, agriculture, soil and food, very strong in Brazil and also in South America, metabolomics, pharmaceuticals, forensic, and environmental. Next, please. Well, here we can show instrumentation developed in Brazil using an Argentinian TD instrument that was installed at the Brazilian Agricultural Research Corporation, Embrapa, which is a government institution, very famous in Brazil. And the system uses, this system here shown, uses a conveyor belt to measure juice content and sugar content bricks in oranges grown in different soils, climates, and irrigation conditions. Next, please. Next is an example of porous media, quantum information, quantum computing, NMR, and MAS, and there's a contribution of Tito's group. They have developed single-sided magnets for porous media in collaboration with Dr. Dimitrios Sakellarios and at the University of Louvain in Belgium, designed and constructed NMR and NQR sensors and methods for quantum computing. We have here on the right an example of an entangled state obtained by NMR quantum state tomography. The last example is the design and construction of MAS spinners in the 1980s, in collaboration with Professor Lúcio Dias, and that Tito mentioned was the PhD advisor of Lúcio Friedman. Next, please. Here we show a picture of NMR laboratory of the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, dedicated to biomolecular NMR. with a focus on the study of the structure, dynamics, and functions of viral proteins like coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, and also the structure, dynamics, and functions of disintegrins and mechanism of integrin inhibition. Next, please. Here in this slide, we present examples from additional areas in which there are many research groups in Brazil, such as natural products, medicinal chemistry, and drug interaction, for the study of tropical diseases like leishmaniasis, as well as alkaloids related to Alzheimer's disease. Next, please. Here we have a picture of the Petrobras Research Center Laboratory with a lone and integrated and in collaboration with many universities around the country, concentrate the study on oil derivatives, elastomers, copolymers, rubbers, zeolite, molecular sieves, nanocomposites, biodiesel, ethanol, biomass, residues, lignin, and additives. Next one, please. Well, this is a resume of the Brazilian NMR at the moment. We show here the high-resolution instrument currently installed in Brazil, organized by state and by region. You see here on the right that the southeast and south of Brazil concentrate the majority of high-resolution instruments in the country, and that only 6 out of the 27 states of Brazil does not have yet an NMR, a high-resolution NMR instrument or NMR group of research. On the right, we see the evolution of our RAIN members from the beginning, the founding of the RAIN with 12 members, up to 220 nowadays. In terms of the equipment, we installed 2 in 1987, and we have now 146 total. The association, before I turn to Tito, I have to say that the association tries to bring all these members together, always, encouraging mutual support through scientific collaboration among groups, as well as share efforts in the maintenance and accessibility of equipment and accessories in order to reduce this regional disparities and differences. Okay, now the next one I turn to Tito that will talk about the NMR in Argentina.
Yes. We made a lot of efforts to get information about the other countries too. And from Argentina, at this moment, we have a lot of physicists working with NMR in the University of Cordoba, in the Faculty of Mathematics, Astronomy, Physics, and Computer Science. And we put here only the names of the second generation, because if we were planning to put all the names, this slide would be full of names. I'm sorry about not putting all the names, but these guys with their collaborators, they are doing a lot of interesting research, like solid-state NMR, quantum dynamics and the coherence control, applications in pharmaceuticals, energy, food, porous media. They are doing spin dynamics and hyperpolarization, relaxometry, magnetometrology, and advanced imaging with cycled fields and low field instrumentation. And also we have a very nice group in Bariloche, now composed only by Análias Rick and Gonzalo Alvarez, that they are doing really nice research with quantum information and main body dynamics, quantum control and quantum sensing methods development, and MRI methods for applications in biomedicine. For us, there are only these 2 groups in Argentina working with physics using NMR. But in the biomolecular NMR in Argentina, we have 3 important groups. The most important is the Institute of Biomolecular Research, together with the National Science Foundation, CONICET, in the University of Rosario. And in this group, we have Alejandro Villa, Andrés Binolfi, Paula Bordisso, and Rodolfo Gracia. They are doing research for metalloproteins, electrotransport, bacterial resistance mechanisms, structural biology, and protein dynamics, protein DNA complexes in cell and in vivo NMR methods and metabolomics of complex biological systems. This is important to point out that since the installation of the first high-field NMR spectrometer in 2006, the local community has experienced a very big growth across a broad range of disciplines, and this contribution was made by this group. But we have also to mention the Institute, Leloir Institute in Buenos Aires, and this is led by Diana Capde. We have a lot of people working in this institution, but Diana is leading the NMR experiments, mainly dedicated to methyl homeostasis in pathogenic bacteria and the changes in the conformational entropy of proteins. And the last center that we would like to mention is the Center for Research in Bio-Nanoscience, also connected with the Argentinian Science Foundation, CONICET, and this institution is called CBION. And the person responsible for doing the NMR experiments over there is Pablo Reichenberg, and the research areas are analysis of complex mixtures, metabolomics, and analysis of bio and environmental systems. And they have a lot of high-resolution equipment now in Argentina. They started with just one in 2006, and now they have 30 along the country. And one point that is really important to mention to you, nowadays, Brazil and Argentina, we have two NMR companies, and they are being able to construct the low-field NMR systems that are being produced and distributed globally. One of them was founded in 2003 by Daniel Puciol, a good friend from Cordoba, passed away a few years ago, but they started this company inside the university, and a few years ago, it was considered a spin-out of the National University of Cordoba. And he and his partner, they were able to construct a lot of benchtop NMR and inline NMR systems that were constructed, dedicated to some specific applications, like that one Sonia showed in connection with the Brazilian Company for Agricultural Research, and mostly applied to oil and gas industry and the food industry. And they have sold till now instruments in 21 countries around the world. And we have also the fine instruments technology in Brazil. This company is named FIT, and she's being able to do something similar to what Spillock has made. It was founded in 2010, and they are being able to construct benchtop NMR, low-field NMR systems for seeds, vegetable oils, food industry, soils, polymers, research and development of new equipments, process and control, and porous media. And they were able to sold instruments for in all the continents, but in South America, they have sold equipment to Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, 9 equipments, Colombia, 19, Ecuador, 10 equipments, Peru, 7, Uruguay, 1, and Venezuela, 1. And I would like to highlight that the most important partnership we are having with FIT is the construction, installation, design, construction, and installation of one NMR made by FIT company in the synchrotron beam line in Brazil, in the 4th generation Brazilian synchrotron light laboratory, Sirius in Campinas. So in a few months, we are going to be able to do NMR and the micro-CT simultaneously to study, for example, the transformation of porous media when you are injecting acids, for example. But the system is being constructed to be able to do experiments, dynamic experiments that you can follow not only by NMR, but simultaneously with my high-resolution micro-CT using synchrotron light. This is the team from University of São Paulo, from the Sirius and the FIT company. This is the Daniel, the CEO of the FIT company in Brazil. And it was very nice for the integration of our community in South America when Lucio Friedman, when he was the editor of Journal of JMR Open, he proposed writing one special issue for this journal named Magnetic Resonance in Latin America. It was really nice because we were able to map several groups, and not only in South America, but also in Latin America, including Mexico and Central America. And we are really thank you. We would like to thank Lucio Friedman because with this proposal, including several colleagues from Brazil, Mexico, and Argentina, we are able to make the third integration for our community. And we are really thankful for him. And now, Sonia.
Okay, back to the stage. I'm talking about Colombia. Colombia had a pioneer professor, Dr. Manuel Patarroyo. He was a researcher immunologist at the Foundation Institute of Immunology of Colombia in Bogota. He started in the early 90s using NMR to develop syntactic vaccines for tropical disease like malaria and also for the structure of peptides. Today, Colombia has 4 NMR research groups in 4 different cities: Cali, Medellin, Bucaramanga, and Bogota. And the main research areas are structure and conformation of small molecules, natural products, biomoleculars and pharmaceutical products, and also material science. They have the total of 9 high-resolution equipment around the country. Next, please. Next is Chile. Chile, we do not know exactly who started the NMR in Chile, but we do know that they started in the late 70s with old instruments, and in 1990 they have installed the first high-resolution equipment. Chile has at least 8 groups spread among 5 cities, and their research in NMR is concentrated in chemistry, biochemistry, and health science. Mining, Chile is very strong on mining, especially on copper and lithium. Pharmaceuticals, forensic, food, and oil and lubricants. The country has now 4 high-resolution NMR instruments in Santiago, Valparaíso, Talca, Concepción, and Antofagasta. Okay, next. Next is Uruguay. Uruguay has an interesting story in NMR. When in the late 90s, Professor Ignacio Stolking returned to Uruguay from ETH to retire and brought with him 2 variants, XL100 and 1 Bruker WH90, donated by ETH. With the help of Professor Gerardo Burton from the University of Buenos Aires, Argentina, 3 students, Guillermo Moya, Jorge Cernadas, and Gonzalo Hernandez, were challenged to make from these 3 donated equipments 1 first functional FT-NMR and operating in Uruguay. And they succeeded. Gonzalo and Guillermo left the country to get their PhD degrees in USA and came back both in the year of 2011, founding the 2 NMR research groups of the country today at Montevideo and Paysandú, respectively. So the main research areas are quantitative NMR using proton, fluorine, phosphorus nuclei, physical organic chemistry and metabolomics, and structural determination of carbohydrates conducted by Professor Carolina Fontana, who joined the group at Paysandú recently. Uruguay has, at the moment, 3 high-resolution NMR instruments. Next, well, we don't have information about all the countries in South America. It would be very long. I apologize for those that I don't mention here, but an overview here is that high resolution equipments, we have about 210 more or less in South America. Concentration, the majority concentrated in Brazil and Argentina. About 100 NMR research groups. The only association is still AUEM, and the main applications are biomolecular NMR, natural products, small molecules, materials, medicinal chemistry, metabolomics, food and agriculture, quantum information, computing, and instrumentation. I have to say some words before I finish, that the Brazilian NMR Association, together with other South American scientists, are making an effort to integrate the word of this presentation is integration. We have to integrate as much research as possible to try to divulge, educate, and increment NMR science around the continent. Our final message is that although being far behind in NMR in terms of instruments and research groups compared to North America or Europe, those unique, beautiful places that I show in the pictures here that we are proud to show to everyone that visit us, we are showing, we are truly confident that we are doing very good science and good work, NMR research work that we are proud of. And we know that the way to reach a better situation is continue to strengthen the collaboration with other continents and among the countries of this great, rich, and prosperous continent that is South America. The key word here is integration. Next, please. Now I would like to thank everyone that contributed to this presentation. I want to thank Ivan for the great opportunity that we have here, me and Tito, and you all for your attention. Thank you very much in my name and Tito's name. Tito, you can thank you by yourself.
Thank you very much, Joe. I repeated the same words Sonia presented now for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonia and Tito, for a great presentation, and I've never known so much about all of South America. And so, first of all, I'd like to ask, are there any questions? Rod?
Oh, hi, Sonia. Ron Crouch here. I know there's a 400 MR or two in the northern part of South America, Guyana or something. And he went there for installation, and he didn't want to leave. He wanted to stay. Bert Heiss years ago, he was a variant applications guy, and he never wanted to. He wanted to stay forever. So I'll see you soon, Sonia.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for information. Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
I just want to say hello to Sonia. It's been a long time. It's George Gray. We had adventures in Brazil.
Hi, George. How are you? Nice. Listen to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
John Webb. Thanks to both of you for a great talk. I know this is historical in nature, but could you speak a little bit to the future of NMR in South America?
Tito, you go first.
Yes. Well, thanks for the question. We are making a lot of efforts in terms of physics to try to develop new instrumentation for making some different experiments, like the main application we are doing now for understanding and teaching quantum computing and quantum information. And also we are trying to develop new equipments not using liquid helium, going to the direction of low field with our small companies in Brazil to spread the use of NMR not only for spectroscopy, but doing TD NMR for some specific applications for the natural products, for minerals, also in Brazil. And also, the main project we are doing now is constructing new equipments for CO2 geological sequestration or storage in terms of physics. Sonia?
In terms of chemistry, we need a lot of investments, and the whole community we're lacking for the DNP, for example. We don't have any DNP for materials, and it's a lot of it's an investment very significant. And but anyway. I think soon we're going to have one in Brazil. This collaboration with the Spanish and Portuguese people are going back and forth with students to learn NMR and to to have more groups and more applications in the country. Well, I think the major problem is investments, but we cannot be, very negative on this aspect, because we are much better than other countries in South America. And I think we need this relationship between us to strengthen the community, and with that elevate the level of knowledge of people and equalize a little bit the regions of South America.
Tony, I would like to add also that in terms of physics, using high resolution spectrometers, we are making a lot of efforts to have new equipments to be able to understand better glasses, for example, new materials, nanomaterials, and also in the area of cement, zeolites, and other new materials that we are developing at this moment in order to be able to use the best equipments that we can buy, like Sonia said, and not only for chemistry, but also for physics, for understanding new materials.
Thank you, Tito. Other questions? Okay, yes.
John Webb, once again, thank you very much for the information. Again, follow up. Could you give a little bit of information on sources of funding for NMR equipment in South America? For example, government funding, private funding, and so forth.
Can I start, Sonia? Okay, in Brazil.
I think you're much better than me to answer this question.
Okay. So we have several sources for getting money for buying new equipment in Brazil. We have the National Science Foundation that we call CNPq, that they are not being able to give too much money for individuals. We have to construct big consortium with a lot of institutions in order to be able to have one central, for example, for doing NMR. We have in the States, we have the state science foundations. In São Paulo, for example, we have a very rich and strong São Paulo State Science Foundation that is able to give a lot of support for giving money for buying new equipment. But always in the same way, we have to have a big team to show that we can mix physicists, geophysicists, geochemists, chemists, and so on in order to be able to go through a very well-defined way. And also in Brazil, Petrobras with the National Agency for Petroleum, Biofuels, and New Energy, we are getting a lot of money to study problems not only associated with oil extraction, but also for understanding new materials and also to be able to understand what I said before, the geological storage of CO2. So we have several sources, and we can ask to all of them simultaneously. So even if you are not able to get a lot of money from an institution, but if you keep asking, we have a good amount of money to do research in Brazil. Sonia?
I don't have too much to add, but there is the FINEP also with some opportunities for big instruments. Also, it's a government institution as well for financing research. And they gave opportunities also to run projects between industry and university. So that it's very, you only can do that project if you have a university attached to it. So it's also a very good opportunity to have fundings.
Thanks for adding this information. And we have also what we call EMBRAP. EMBRAP is a kind of Brazilian association for connecting the academy with the industry. The government is giving 1/3 of the money for this research. The companies have to give also 1/3, and the university gives also 1/3, not in terms of financial, but in terms of economical contribution. So we are being able to get a lot of money for doing research, not only for NMR, but for all the areas that we can contribute to innovation in Brazil, developing the industry in our country. Thanks.
George has a question.
Yeah.
George Gray.
What's a helium situation in South America? Who are your suppliers, and have you had any problem with it?
Well, I can go there. Well, we have some, some cycles that we are short of helium, and the prices of helium inside Brazil is very complicated as well, because in the north of Brazil, for example, you can reach only by plane, and the price is triple that we pay in southeast or south of Brazil. So in that area, that's why we have much less equipment than in the other areas. But we acquired most of our helium from Qatar, which is now in a bad situation because of the war around there. But we haven't feel so much up to now. I don't know what's going to happen if this war is going far. But yes, we had some cycles years ago when, for example, we bought a lot from USA, and that mine that you have, a big one, you shorten every year for foreigners, and this was a kind of change gears to Qatar and other countries to have helium here.
In the case of the physics institutes, we have a better situation because we have the helium recovery system. So we are not losing the helium we are buying. We are just recovering and liquefying and using it again. Of course, we are losing some percentage of the helium, but we'll be able to make a lot of economy, not only for the magnet systems we need, but also for the spectrometers we have in the institute. So we are in a better shape because we have this big helium recovery and liquefying system in the institute.
Yeah, most of the groups, the big groups of NMR Brazil, they are also thinking in having this helium recovery system bought from some vendors around. Okay.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you and Tito for presenting this. I mean, we have a whole different comprehensive picture of South American NMR, and to think about, and I also thank you for doing this at such a late hour, realizing that
No
you're 4
problem.
hours ahead of
No
us.
problem. No problem.
Okay.
It was a pleasure.
Yes. So thank you very much, and for the great talk, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.